There is a bitter truth most men are unwilling to face. The majority of good morning texts they send don't make women feel special, and they don't etch their presence into her mind. On the contrary, these messages expose weakness, make a man appear replaceable, and have him forgotten almost as soon as the day begins. He believes he's being caring, believes he's planting connection. In reality, he's unconsciously throwing away his presence, handing over his power with a few empty lines. The scene is familiar to nearly every man. You wake up, grab your phone, type a predictable line. "Good morning. Hope you have a wonderful day." You hit send, then you wait. Wait for her attention. Wait for a warm reply. But what usually comes back? A short, flat response. Morning. Or worse, silence. And so your entire day spirals into doubt. Did I do something wrong? Is she losing interest? Should I send another message? The problem is not her. The problem is you, and the way you send words that carry no weight. A morning text is not just a greeting. It is a mirror reflecting who you are. If it radiates neediness, women will instantly sense it and place you among the forgettable. But if it carries strength, certainty, and an energy that cannot be ignored, it will carve your presence into her thoughts, even if she doesn't want it to. Stoicism reveals this truth. The morning is not just a time of day. It is a threshold, a gateway, a moment when the mind is still soft, still shaping the energy it will carry into the hours ahead. That means the first words she reads in the morning hold far more power than you imagine. They don't just greet her, they frame her perception of you. If you begin with weakness, you cast yourself as background noise. If you begin with steadiness and strength, you become the echo in her mind that lingers all day long. Marcus Aurelius didn't start his mornings writing flowery words to seek approval. He didn't need to. He reminded himself of discipline, of duty, of the strength required to meet the day's trials. He set his own frame, and the world was forced to orbit around it. That is how a true man begins his morning, not begging to be acknowledged, but affirming his presence. The biggest mistake men make is believing more words equal more value. They think that writing long paragraphs will make women remember them. But the opposite is true. The longer the message, the more it exposes emptiness inside. A boy tries to fill space with words. A man, with just a single line, can shift a woman's entire emotional state. And that's what you're about to discover. You'll see why some men, with only a few words in the morning, leave women thinking about them for hours, while others, no matter how much they write, are scrolled past and forgotten. You'll uncover messages that project steadiness, ones that spark challenge, messages that leave just enough mystery for her imagination to do the heavy lifting. You'll see how sometimes words aren't even necessary. An image alone can plant your presence more deeply than paragraphs ever could. You'll notice how a playful spark can make her smile all day, or how a line of timeless wisdom can echo in her thoughts long after the morning has passed. 7 types of messages like this exist. Each one carries its own shade, its own psychological effect, its own unique power. They are nothing like the hollow lines average men keep sending. They are signals. They are presence. They are marks that cannot be ignored. And once you understand them, you'll never waste another morning on weak texts again. A boy texts to be noticed. A man texts because he already is. And now, you're about to step into the path that will show you how 7 simple morning messages can transform you into the man she cannot forget. 1. The grounded reminder. One of the biggest mistakes men make each morning is turning their first message into a confession of weakness. They believe that the more words, the more emojis, the more sweetness they pack in, the more affection they'll show. But reality is far harsher. The longer the message, the more it reveals lack, and lack never creates attraction. Picture this. A man wakes up, barely out of bed, and rushes to grab his phone. He types out a long, drawn-out text. "Good morning, beautiful. I missed you all night. I hope you have the most amazing day." He sends it, hoping for her attention. But for the woman on the other end, it isn't romance, it's pressure. That message says one thing: I have nothing solid to stand on except you. And no one wants to carry the weight of being someone's only foundation. Now, imagine a different scene. A man wakes, breathes deeply, plants his feet on the ground. His day already has direction. He doesn't need to write an essay. He sends a single line. "Morning. Stay sharp today." That's it. No fluff, no plea, just steady words. And to her, it lands differently. It doesn't beg for validation. It asserts presence. It's not noise. It's a mark. This is the power of restraint. It isn't empty silence. It is weighted silence. From deep within human instinct, we are drawn to certainty. We trust it. We lean into it. When you speak briefly but decisively, you broadcast stability. You say, "I know where I'm going. I own my day. I don't need your reply to feel whole." And that independence becomes magnetic. It sparks respect, curiosity, and desire. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Most morning texts men send are not true. They don't reflect calm, strength, or discipline. They reflect fear. But a short, grounded message? That is truth. It mirrors a man who stands firm, who does not cling. Psychology confirms this. People are naturally drawn to signals that stand apart from the noise. A long, needy text is like street chatter. Everyone hears it. No one remembers it. But a short, weighted line is like a hammer striking stone. It echoes. It lasts. Remember, you don't need poetry. You don't need to pour your entire heart into a glowing screen. You need to send a message that reflects steadiness. A message that shows you don't start your day waiting on her. You start it with yourself. And from that center, everything else falls into orbit. Real attraction doesn't come from the quantity of words. It comes from the quality of presence. A boy fills silence with chatter. A man uses silence to give his words weight. A boy types paragraphs, hoping to be noticed. A man writes one line, and that one line can shift her entire mood. So from this moment on, stop turning your morning into noise. Let your message be a low, steady note that carries far beyond its size. A note strong enough to anchor itself in her mind. Because in a world drowning in cheap words, the man who knows how to hold back makes every word priceless. 2. The subtle challenge. Most men believe what women want in the morning is comfort. They send sweet, safe messages filled with flattery, emojis, and reassurance, thinking this will make her feel loved. They believe that the more they soothe, the more she'll hold on to them. But the truth is the opposite. Too much comfort kills attraction. When you only offer ease, you turn yourself into a pillow. Soft, safe, forgettable. And women don't dream about pillows. They dream about mountains they can climb. A man with real presence is not just someone who makes her feel warm. He is someone who awakens a fire inside her. Someone who challenges her to rise higher, stronger, better. This is the power of the subtle challenge. It doesn't make her feel attacked. It makes her feel seen. It tells her, "I believe you are capable of more." You're not sending words to soothe her. You're sending words to ignite her. Picture two messages. The first man writes, "Hope you have a wonderful day, wishing you lots of happiness." It's nice, it's polite, but it's forgettable. The second man writes, "Don't let today beat you. You're tougher than that." Just one line, but completely different. It doesn't flatter. It raises the bar. It sets a standard. And that standard, whether she realizes it or not, makes her want to live up to it. This is psychology at work. Human beings rise or fall to the expectations set for them. When you send a subtle challenge, you flip the frame. You stop being the man chasing her approval, and you become the man whose respect she must earn. And women, especially ambitious, spirited women, are deeply drawn to this energy. They chase the validation of the man who doesn't give it away cheaply. Think of it this way. A man sends, "Don't let today control you. Own it." She laughs when she reads it, but it stirs something inside. All day long, when challenges arise, those words echo in her mind. And when she pushes through, the first person she wants to tell is him. Because he didn't just text her, he became her motivation. Epictetus once said, "Difficulties show what men are." When you place a subtle challenge before her, you remind her of this truth. You frame the day not as something to endure, but as something to conquer. And when a woman associates you with strength, growth, and resilience, she never forgets you. But let's be clear. A challenge is not criticism. It's not cold command. It's encouragement wrapped in belief. It doesn't tear her down. It lifts her up. That is the difference between a man who orders and a man who inspires. This is where average men fail. They text to please. They shower compliments to win favor. They send emojis to beg for affection. Meanwhile, the grounded man sends one line, a challenge, and she carries it with her all day. Not because he demanded her attention, but because he touched something deeper, her desire to become more. So stop texting like the man who makes her too comfortable. Start texting like the man who makes her stronger. Attraction is not built by soothing. It is built by setting the standard. And the man who can challenge her with strength and subtlety becomes the man she thinks about long after the morning has passed. 3. The mystery line. One of the biggest mistakes men make when texting is trying to explain everything. They pour out long paragraphs, reveal every thought, spell out every feeling. They think total clarity will make her feel secure. But in reality, it makes her feel bored. When everything is given away, there's nothing left to imagine, nothing left to explore, and attraction dies in that certainty. The truth is this: attraction doesn't thrive in total clarity. It thrives in tension, in the space between words, in what's left unsaid. When a woman has to wonder, when her imagination is triggered, you become a mystery, and mystery is the oxygen of desire. Consider the difference. One man writes, "I miss you, I care about you, I hope you think of me all day." He says it all, leaves nothing unfinished. The result? She doesn't think of him again. Another man writes, "This day will tell me something about you." That's it. Just one unfinished thought. Suddenly, her mind is racing. What does he mean? What will today reveal? What is he seeing in me that I don't see in myself? And those questions keep him alive in her thoughts, long after the text is read. This is where psychology comes in. The Zeigarnik effect proves that unfinished thoughts linger in the mind longer than completed ones. By sending a line that leaves the door open, you create an unresolved loop in her brain. And until that loop is closed, she'll keep returning to it. She'll keep returning to you. Picture this. A woman receives a text. The way you handle today will say a lot. No explanation, no expansion. She reads it once, then again, then a third time, and all morning, she carries it with her. What is he expecting? Will I make him proud? Will I disappoint him? While she's wrapped in that thought, the man who sent it is already moving forward with his day, calm, steady, unaffected, and that contrast makes his presence heavier, more magnetic. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." This is the truth you can use. By leaving space, by planting a seed of mystery, you let her imagination do the heavy lifting. And in imagination, you always become larger, more compelling, harder to forget. But make no mistake, mystery is not about cheap tricks or manipulation. It's not about playing games. It's about restraint. It's about choosing not to give everything away. You're not abandoning her. You're inviting her in. You're not making her insecure. You're making her curious. That's the difference between a boy playing mind games and a man who understands the power of presence. So stop texting like an open book with every page already turned. Stop saying everything until there's nothing left for her to think about. Start leaving spaces. Start sending lines that live unfinished, that force her to continue the conversation in her head. Because when her mind keeps circling back to you, again and again and again, that's when you're truly unforgettable. 4. The silent image. Most men think that to be remembered, they need more words. They write long messages, over-explain, fill the screen with fluff, believing this will create presence. But the truth is, the more they type, the more they reveal their emptiness. Because sometimes, what you don't say speaks louder than anything else. A picture can do what 1,000 words cannot. Human beings are visual creatures. Our brains process images 60,000 times faster than text. The right picture sent in the morning isn't just a greeting, it's a mark. It stamps itself into memory. It plants an emotion that no paragraph could ever deliver. Picture two men. The first one texts, "Good morning, baby. I missed you so much. I hope you have the best day." Sweet? Maybe. But cheap. It exposes the truth. His world is small, revolving entirely around her, with nothing else to offer. The result? She reads it, scrolls past, and forgets him before her coffee cools. The second man sends no words at all. He sends an image. His shoes dusted from a morning run, a black coffee steaming on the table, sweat glistening on his shirt after training. No caption, no explanation, just presence. And when she looks at it, she feels discipline, she feels focus, she feels strength. She imagines him running, breathing, moving through the morning with purpose. And most importantly, she imagines him. This is where psychology steps in. Images bypass analysis. They go straight to the subconscious. A morning picture doesn't have to say, "I'm disciplined." It shows it. It doesn't have to declare, "I'm strong." She feels the strength in the details. And that silent proof carries far more weight than any declaration could. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." And the image you send in the morning is the color of your soul. It can be the color of discipline, training, momentum, or the color of weakness, idleness, and need. The choice is yours. What makes the silent image powerful is that it never begs. It doesn't demand her reply. It doesn't chase validation. It simply stands. And paradoxically, that quiet presence becomes unforgettable. A woman may forget dozens of repetitive good mornings, but she will remember the one image that makes her imagine you, visualize your life, and crave your presence. So stop filling the morning with desperate words. Start giving her a glimpse into the world you're building. A world not centered on her, but on growth, discipline, and strength. Because when she sees that world, she doesn't just see a photo, she sees a man. The silent image doesn't need explanation. It is truth made visible. And that truth is what sets you apart. 5. The frame setter. Most men start their morning orbiting around women. They send texts like, "Did you sleep well? What are you doing today? Any plans?" On the surface, it sounds caring, but underneath, it reveals the truth. His life has no orbit of its own. He waits for her to define the meaning of his day, and nothing kills attraction faster than turning yourself into a satellite revolving around someone else. A man with true presence doesn't orbit her. He creates his own orbit, and if she wants, she can step into it. This is the power of the frame setter. He doesn't send a message to find a place in her schedule. He sends a message to declare the direction of his own. Compare the two. One man writes, "Are you busy today? What are you up to?" It seems sweet, but it exposes one thing. He has no path, no momentum. He's waiting for her to give him a reason to move. Another man writes, "Morning, training at 7, meeting stacked, win the day." Short, sharp, complete. Not a plea, but a declaration. And that declaration communicates one clear message. He already has an orbit. He already has speed. He is already moving, with or without her. Psychology explains why this is so magnetic. Women are drawn to momentum, forward motion. They feel the pull of men who are already in motion, who live with purpose, who carry direction. When you set the frame of your morning with action, you show her you're not waiting for the world to decide. You lead. And leadership is what makes her lean in. Remember, attraction doesn't come from centering her. It comes from centering yourself. When you have discipline, when you have movement, when you have goals, you generate gravity. And in that gravity, everything else, her included, is naturally pulled closer. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself at dawn. At day's first light. Think of what it means to live as a man. A day is not something to wait for. It is something to define, a frame to set, a path to lead. That is the lesson of the frame setter. And let's be clear, the frame setter is not about bragging. It's not about dumping your schedule to prove how busy you are. It's about showing direction. It's about affirming that your life already has shape, that you're moving forward. When a woman sees you in motion, she doesn't think, "He needs me to complete his world." She thinks, "How can I keep up with his orbit?" This is the difference between a boy and a man. A boy waits for someone to pull him along. A man creates the orbit, and the world adjusts to his frame. So stop sending texts that beg for her agenda. Stop waiting to be pulled into her day. Start sending texts that declare your own direction. Declare your mission. Declare your momentum. And if she wants, she'll step into the orbit you've already set in motion. Don't orbit her. Create your own orbit. And when you live inside that orbit, you don't need to chase attraction. You become the force of attraction itself. 6. The playful tease. Many men believe attraction only lives in seriousness. They keep a stern face, send disciplined, rigid texts, and maintain a heavy tone. Discipline is powerful, but discipline alone becomes monotone. If you're only a stone wall, eventually you become dull. Real attraction is born in contrast, discipline paired with playfulness. The most magnetic man is not just the one she respects. He's the one who can also make her laugh. He can stand firm in the storm and yet drop a teasing line that lightens the air. That combination, steadiness and mischief, is what makes him unforgettable. Because she doesn't want a machine. She wants a man, strong enough to be her anchor, but relaxed enough to spark her joy. This is where the playful tease shows its power. A well-timed tease isn't mockery, and it isn't pandering. It creates a spark, a microcharge of tension that flips instantly into laughter. It's a ripple in the calm, and that ripple is far more memorable than any safe compliment. Consider the difference. One man writes, "Good morning, beautiful. I hope your day is amazing." Sweet, but generic. She's heard it 100 times. She forgets it before finishing her coffee. Another man writes, "Try not to burn breakfast again. I'd like to survive until tonight." Or, "Let's see if you can get through today without driving someone crazy." Instantly, the tone shifts. She laughs. She pictures it. And most importantly, she remembers him. This is the psychology of teasing. Teasing creates micro-tension, a small spark of challenge quickly released with humor. That little jolt lingers longer than flattery. Compliments slide down smooth, but fade fast. A playful tease, however, sticks. It replays in her mind, like a song she didn't expect to love. And here's where Stoicism comes in. The grounded man isn't controlled by circumstance. He isn't consumed by seriousness. That's exactly why he can play. Weak men can't tease. They're too afraid of rejection, too desperate to be liked. But the strong man? He's free enough to joke. He's confident enough to sprinkle lightness into his presence. And that freedom itself is power. Picture her morning. Instead of opening her phone to another sugary line, she sees, "Don't drink 3 coffees before 10. I don't need panic texts from you all day." She bursts out laughing, and all morning she keeps replaying that line. It didn't just make her smile, it made you stand out. You became the man who dared to tease, not the man who begged for worship. Most men never realize this truth. Women don't remember compliments. They remember the moments that made them laugh, the playful challenges that made them feel alive, the lines that stuck. They remember the man who could tap into their mischievous side. So stop sending recycled compliments. Stop being the safe guy she forgets instantly. Start sending lines that spark. Tease her. Challenge her lightly. Give her something to laugh about, to think about, to carry with her. The playful tease is the balance of opposites. Disciplined but not rigid. Strong but still mischievous. When you master this art, you don't just show up in her morning. You become the smile she carries into the night. 7. The timeless Stoic note. Most men treat the morning text like a formality, a greeting, an emoji, a predictable compliment. And because of that, their words vanish from her mind within seconds, like raindrops evaporating before they touch the soil. They waste the most powerful moment of the day, the morning, when the mind is still soft, still open, on something meaningless. The grounded man is different. He understands that the morning is the gateway to the mind. The first words she reads don't just start her day. They can shape how she thinks, how she feels, even how she acts for hours to come. Which is why, instead of sending throwaway lines, he plants seeds, seeds of wisdom. This is the timeless Stoic note. One line, a piece of philosophy, a question that stirs her mind. It's not just a message, it's the spark for a train of thought. Imagine 2 texts. The first man writes, "Hope you have a great day." She smiles faintly, then forgets. The second man sends, "Marcus Aurelius said, the soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. What color are you painting today?" That line doesn't fade. It sticks. It makes her think. And in each thought, his presence lingers. Psychology calls this the power of cognitive anchoring. When you plant an idea or a question in someone's mind, they return to it again and again. And each time, they don't just recall the idea, They recall the source. You are no longer just attractive. You are influential. You become the voice in her head. Picture this. It's midday. Stress is piling up. Her mind is racing. Suddenly, your morning note echoes back. Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." Remember that today. She takes a breath. She feels lighter. But here's the key. When she recalls that line, she doesn't hear Seneca's voice. She hears yours. You've become the whisper guiding her through the storm. This is the level most men never reach. They chase glances. They beg for replies. But the man who understands the timeless Stoic note doesn't fight for the surface. He plants deep. He doesn't just want to be noticed. He wants to be remembered. He wants to be a presence in her thoughts, long after the text has been read. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Don't explain your philosophy, embody it." And when you send a Stoic note, you're not preaching. You're showing that philosophy has seeped into your life. You're not posing as a teacher. You're embodying wisdom, and that, more than anything, sets you apart. So don't let the morning pass with hollow words. Plant seeds. Send a fragment of philosophy, a question that lingers, an echo of wisdom, and all throughout her day, as her mind drifts, it will drift back to you. Not because you begged for it, but because you became the anchor she didn't know she needed. The timeless Stoic note doesn't just make you attractive, it makes you influential. And when you are influential, you don't just live in her eyes, you live in her mind and in her soul. The 7 morning messages we've just walked through, they are not tricks. They are not cheap games to manipulate emotions. They are not designed to deceive, and they are not a mask to cover up weakness. They are a mirror, reflecting who you truly are. If you are grounded, disciplined, magnetic from within, then even 2 words are enough to anchor you in her mind all day long. But if you are weak, needy, hollow, then even 1,000 words will vanish before the coffee in her cup has cooled. The message itself is not what matters. The man behind the message is what defines everything. This is the dividing line that cannot be blurred. A boy texts just to be noticed. A man texts because he already is. He does not beg, he affirms. And it is that presence, the quiet gravity of a man who knows himself, that women cannot ignore. Every word you type carries your imprint. It can carry the breath of strength, of calm, of certainty. Or it can carry the scent of neediness, insecurity, desperation. And only when you truly understand that your words carry weight will you stop wasting them. So right now, I want you to leave a comment. My words carry weight. Treat it like an oath, a reminder that from this day forward, you will no longer text like a boy chasing attention, but like a man who already stands firm, a man whose words are anchors, not echoes. And if you are ready to go further, if you are ready to continue this path of discipline, presence, and unshakable attraction, then hit subscribe to the Unshakable Stoic Path. Because this is not just a YouTube channel. This is a brotherhood, a community of men who forge themselves into such strength, such presence, that even a glance, a single word, or a 2-line text carries the weight of an entire man. Remember this. Attraction doesn't begin with her. It begins with you. It doesn't live in the reply you hope for. It lives in the man you are becoming. And when you are the man who sets the frame, who creates the orbit, who walks with gravity, you don't chase attention. Attention chases you. A boy texts to be seen. A man texts because he already is. Be that man.